It's Lulu's 13th birthday today, and we are making her a snuffle mat. She's waiting very patiently.
Oh, you're still making discoveries.
Aww. Ever since 2018, I've been wanting to do a solo trip somewhere. I did do that 10-day silent meditation, but I'm thinking more of a trip for leisure. For whatever reason, the solo trip never happened, and then we were into the pandemic. And now that we are out of the pandemic, I've been contemplating it again. Part of me is still on the fence because I really do love to be home. So I was thinking maybe an overnight somewhere, or maybe a weekend away, somewhere quick and easy, maybe train travel, or even just a hotel in Toronto. But I thought maybe I could even go smaller than that to start and see if I like it. That's when I came up with the idea for solo dates, and these are very similar to the artist dates that I was doing when I was going through the artist's way. Artist dates are solo dates once a week where you do something creative. Ideally, you would spend a few hours to half a day, maybe even a full day. I loved the artist dates so much, and I thought solo dates could be very similar. I'm not going to do them as often. I'm going to do them maybe once a month. And I would like to take the day off for this, whereas with artist dates, I still worked, but because my hours are flexible, I could squeeze in that time for creativity. I would like to spend half a day to myself doing whatever I want. It could be something creative, it can be something relaxing, something fun, whatever comes to mind that I want to try. And what I decided to do for my first solo date was to go to Go Place. This is that huge spa that hubby and I went to with two of our friends. I think it was last summer, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since we've been there, and hubby and I have only been there once. So I thought I would really like to go there on my own today. I have the day off. I took the day off from the writing studio, and hubby is working evening shifts, so he was home all day with Lulu. I woke up early, I got ready, I took a lift to Markham. I spent the entire day at the spa from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I had a really nice shower, took a lift back home, and I was home by around 4:30. I wanted to be home before 5 p.m. so I could feed Lulu her dinner, and also I think 8 hours was plenty of time for me. I was ready to go, and the spa was getting a little bit busier, whereas at 7 in the morning, from 7 to 11, it was very quiet. At 7, not everything is even open yet. There are some pools that are closed, and there are some rooms that are also closed. They keep the lights really dim. Slowly, things start to open up, and they turn on the lights at 10 o'clock, and then by 11 o'clock, it was getting quite busy. And by the time I left, it was pretty busy for a Monday. I had the best time. I'm pretty content in my day-to-day. I love my daily routine, and I love staying home, as I mentioned, but this was just such a treat. The one thing that I wanted to mention that I didn't take any footage of, I played a game of billiards on my own, and this was the first time I've ever done that. Every single time I've played pool, I have played with someone or someones, and this is the first time I've played an entire game on my own. I basically just worked on pocketing all the balls, saving the 8-ball for the end, and it was super fun. I probably could have played again and maybe another time, but I just left it at 1. Sometimes I think stopping when you still want to continue, or leaving when there are still things that you want to do, it makes the experience sweeter. I didn't overindulge in billiards and I didn't overindulge in the spa. I feel very relaxed now, and I think I'm gonna take the rest of the night to just sit on the couch, read my book. I'm reading a book right now that I really am enjoying. It is very, very helpful as well. This book is in the self-help realm, and it is called Build the Life You Want by Arthur C. Brooks and Oprah Winfrey. I'm eager to read more of it. I'm about halfway through, and I spent a lot of time at Go Place reading the book. I had a very nice leisurely lunch. My lunch was pork katsu with udon, which I had twice the last time I was at Go Place when we were with our friends and we were there for 12 hours. We had 2 meals there, and I had that same meal a couple of times then, and I also had it today because I loved it so much. For my drink at lunch, I ordered a chrysanthemum ginger and honey tea. They brought it in this big pot, and they had this tea warmer with a little tea light in it, so it stayed warm the entire time. And the teacup was so tiny. It was kind of ridiculous because I can drink a lot of tea and I had to keep refilling it because the cup was so tiny. But there was a nice, I don't know, maybe it slowed me down a little bit. When I ate, I put my book away and I just concentrated on eating. But after I was done my meal, I still had so much tea, and so I read while drinking my tea, and it was just so lovely. I just noticed you can see the painter's tape on my door. Hubby and I taped the entire door because they are painting the hallways or priming the hallways for new wallpaper, and the scent is really strong. Because it's painter's tape, it's not that sticky, so we still open the door with it on, and when we close it, I just kind of like pat it back into place so the fumes don't come into the condo. I'm about to make some chia seed pudding while I wait for my lunch to heat up, which is overnight oats. These little jars that I've kept have come in really handy for this. I like to make a few at a time. I've been making up to 3, but I think I'm gonna make 4 because I have the jars, they're clean, and I might as well just use them. So these are all different sizes, but I just basically measure the chia seeds and eyeball the liquid. The first thing I add is some cacao powder, and I put in a teaspoon. So I have a half teaspoon in here, so I'm just gonna do 2 of those for each one. The next step is usually some honey on top, and I just eyeball it, but I ran out of honey, so I'm gonna use maple syrup instead. Next, each little jar is going to get 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. I'm gonna add the liquid. I'm gonna use around half and half of this almond coconut milk blend and some water. I'll just give each of these a quick stir with a chopstick. And finally, I'm just gonna pop the lids on top. And then I'm gonna pop them in the fridge. So now I have 4 nights of chia seed pudding for dessert. Hubby doesn't like chia seed pudding, so I just make enough for myself. They'll be ready to eat for sure by tomorrow, but I'm gonna check on one tonight when it's time to have my dessert and see if it's been enough time. The reason I'm making so much chia seed pudding, and also the reason I'm having overnight oats for my first meal, is because I went for some blood work and my cholesterol is high. I was a little bit worried about my glucose because of all of the sugar that I eat, but that was okay. It was really just the cholesterol. My LDL numbers were high, my non-HDL numbers, and actually all my cholesterol numbers except for triglycerides. Those are fine too. But because my HDL, my LDL, and my non-HDL are all high, my ratio is actually still okay. I'm not too concerned about it. I just don't want it to keep going up, so I do need to make a few changes because I eat a lot of processed snacks, as we know, and I also eat a lot of coconut now, a lot of coconut oil, coconut flakes. I love coconut, and that is full of saturated fat, so that might be why my LDL has gone up as well. The last time I did blood work was in 2018, so it has been 6 years since I've done blood work. And in the past, my cholesterol numbers have been fine, but on the high side of the reference range, and now I am above the reference range, so that's why I'm making a few dietary shifts, but nothing major. I don't plan to cut anything out. I still really do love processed snacks, but I'm just eating less of it, so instead of eating it multiple times a day, I'll just have a little bit. Rather than having an entire chocolate bar, I might just have like one little square of chocolate. Not dark chocolate because I don't like that stuff. I just really like to have something sweet, like really sweet, to signify the end of my meal. It feels like a treat. I enjoy it, so I'm gonna keep doing that. Besides cutting down on processed snacks and saturated fats, I have been increasing my soluble fiber intake. So I've been trying to eat an apple a day. I try to eat overnight oats most days. In my overnight oats, I add flax seeds and hemp hearts and nuts like almonds or walnuts. I've just been trying to eat more foods, fruits, vegetables, grains that have a higher fiber content. Yesterday, I made a really delicious dal curry. This is my last bag of lentils, legumes, etc., grains that I've been trying to use up. So I'm really happy to be busting into this last bag. I still have some partially finished bags, but I've made a lot of progress in using stuff up. I've also been upping my intake of fish. So we'll have fish maybe 2-3 nights a week. We'll usually buy whatever's on sale. So sometimes salmon is on sale, sometimes trout is on sale. Today it was steelhead trout, so I just bought a nice big piece of that. We're gonna have it on some basmati rice with the dal curry and a piece of pan-fried fish on top. And instead of using butter to cook, I've been using more olive oil. I still do love the taste of butter, so I'm still gonna buy it. I'm still gonna use it every once in a while, but I'm thinking it'll be okay because I'm cutting back on a bunch of things and I'm also increasing my soluble fiber intake. I'm gonna retest in a few months. I actually haven't seen my doctor yet, but I get a copy of my blood work, so I already saw that the numbers are up, but I'm gonna see my doctor in a few weeks' time. I had a bunch of other tests done, so I guess we'll talk about everything at once. When I see her, I'll mention the changes I've made and I'll see what she thinks about the timing for retesting. But all of the tests I'm doing are routine screenings, but I'm very behind because I didn't have anything done during the pandemic. So besides my blood work, I had a mammogram and I also had a pelvic ultrasound. So not so fun womenly screenings, but it's definitely better to just go through the discomfort and have that done. The overnight oats are really good, very satisfying. I added a bit of rose water, so extra delicious. Lulu and I are about to have a nap, but before we do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about books. I have been reading so many books lately, and I think it's because of that video I recorded a couple of months ago on how I'm changing the way I read books. It was a video idea that I came up with when I was going through the media chapter of my book, and for whatever reason I was very fixated on books when I did my media reset. I came up with all of these ideas for things I wanted to try in terms of reading books, and it's reignited my passion for reading. I haven't felt this excited about reading since I was in maybe high school, maybe in my early 20s, although by then I think I wasn't really in the reading routine anymore. But now I am fully in it again. I'm very immersed in both fiction and nonfiction. I will say that fiction for me is more captivating. When I'm immersed in good fiction, I will constantly want to read the book, whereas for nonfiction, I don't feel the same draw, but I'm still enjoying reading it. The next book I want to read is Essentialism. This is a book that I picked up at the beginning of the year, and it is one of my favorites, but I haven't actually read any of those books yet that I've picked up because the library keeps giving me these skip the line loans. I use the Libby app, and I have a bunch of holds on books. I think some were from a long time ago, but I keep delaying borrowing the book because I don't feel like reading it when it comes up. But there are a few books that I'm very interested in reading, and when I go on the Libby app, it offers me the book as a skip the line, so I don't have to wait for my turn in the hold. I can borrow it right away. The catch is that instead of it being a 21-day loan, it's only a 7-day loan. So I try to read it really quickly because I want to finish the book. I don't want to have to wait for the book again because you also can't renew the book. So for that reason, I've been reading a lot of new books and I haven't gone back to my old favorites yet. I'm just about to finish a book though. I'll be done today. So that means I can read Essentialism. I really need to read this book right now. I would like some clarity on my priorities. I think I know what my priorities are right now that I don't have the book to work on, my own book to work on. But I want to see if I see this book differently now that I'm in a different phase in my life. I mentioned that when I first read this book, it was right after leaving my full-time job and I was very confused. I didn't know what my priorities were. I didn't know myself that well anymore. But I've gone through so many years of self-reflection since. It's been 5 years of soul searching and self-reflection. I've written a whole book on self-reflection that I'm going through right now. So I'm really curious if I have more clarity when I read this book now versus the first time I read it when I was very confused. I've already noticed that with a lot of nonfiction, I do have more clarity. I can pick through what advice I want to try and what I want to discard. It's not really aligned with my desires or my mindset, so I'll set those pieces of advice aside and I just pick out the things that I find interesting that I might want to try that have some more energy to them for me. But these are all new books that I'm reading, and I'm really curious when I read this one again whether I will have that same clarity. Oh, I'm really excited to read this, but first I must nap. So I'm about to do that right now. I think I'll end off the vlog here. I'm sure I have enough footage. I'm also pretty sure I have more I want to talk about, but I will save that for the next one. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're having a good start to spring, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.